Tour the cruise ports, Amsterdam to Kinderdijk.
Recommended video, Netherlands, Polders and Windmills, 3 minute. 38 seconds.
All about river cruises, Part 2, from Amsterdam to Kinderdijk. With visiting and touring information, geography, history, attractions, and other points of interest.
Dr. Sydney Soclof. drsydney22@gmail.com. 2022. Narration by Dr. Sydney Soclof.
Zoe Phonemes.
And Nathan Koltove. For a more complete discussion of YouTube navigation, please go to this video using the link here. Tour the cruise ports, Amsterdam to Kinderdijk.
Chapter 1. Amsterdam, Rhine Canal.
A Rhine-Danube cruise from Amsterdam to Budapest or Bucharest actually involves 5 rivers and 2 canals. The 5 rivers are the I, Val, Rhine, Main, and Danube, and the 2 canals are the Main-Danube Canal and the Amsterdam-Rhine Canal.
The journey on the I at the very beginning in Amsterdam is very short, so perhaps it doesn't really count.
The Val is actually a distributary of the Rhine, so not counting the I in the Val, we could actually say just 3 rivers, the Rhine, Main, and Danube are involved.
A cruise that goes all of the way to the Black Sea would also include a short journey on the Danube-Black Sea Canal.
Amsterdam is not on the Rhine, so to get to the Rhine the Amsterdam-Rhine Canal is used.
The Amsterdam-Rhine Canal, or in Dutch, the Amsterdam Rijnkanaal, is a waterway connecting the port of Amsterdam with the Rhine River. From Amsterdam, the canal passes to the southeast through Utrecht on its way to the Vaal River, near Tiel.
The Amsterdam-Rhine Canal was opened in 1952. It has a total length of 72 kilometers, 45 miles, and contains 4 locks. It was enlarged in the 1970s and reopened in 1981.
The Amsterdam-Rhine Canal is the most heavily used canal in Western Europe, and can handle up to 4 3,000-ton barges tied together and pushed by a tug. The canal's minimum depth is 5.5 meters, or 18 feet.
This shows the location of the Amsterdam Central Station, and the nearby location where most of the river cruise boats dock.
From the entrance of the Central Station to the cruise boats is just a 10-minute walk of only 780 meters, or 1/2 of a mile.
The entrance to the Amsterdam-Rhine Canal is only about 4 miles, or 7 kilometers from the cruise boats dock, near the Central Station.
This is the Amsterdam River cruise port.
There are often several river cruise boats docked at the same time at the Amsterdam River cruise port.
This shows the beginning of the Amsterdam-Rhine Canal at the I River, Het I, in Amsterdam. From there it's just an overnight journey to the first stop of most river cruises, the Windmills of Kinderdijk.
Here are the 11 provinces of the Netherlands. Amsterdam is in the province of North Holland.
The river cruise that starts in Amsterdam goes through the Amsterdam-Rhine Canal through the city of Utrecht in the province of the same name.
The Amsterdam-Rhine Canal joins the Rhine Distributary, the Maas at Tiel in the province of Gelderland.
However, instead of then proceeding into Germany via Nijmegen, there is a detour to visit the Windmills of Kinderdijk. Kinderdijk is just a few kilometers east of Rotterdam.
Chapter 2. The Rhine River starts in the mountains of Switzerland and ends its 1,000-mile journey in the Netherlands by emptying into the North Sea, near Rotterdam.
The Rhine splits up into several distributaries when it reaches the Netherlands. Principally, the Vaal, the Lek, and the IJssel.
The Rhine flows north through Germany and then enters the Netherlands. Much of the Netherlands is actually the delta of the Rhine River. The river deposits sediments as it slows down in the flatlands of the Netherlands.
The IJssel flows northward to the IJsselmeer. The Lek and Vaal flow parallel to one another and are connected by side streams and canals, and enter the North Sea just west of Rotterdam.
Maas rises in France, where it is called the Meuse, and flows through Belgium to enter the Netherlands at its most southerly point. It then flows northward and then westward parallel to, and close to the Vaal and the Lek to enter the North Sea.
This cartogram shows the average annual discharge of the Rhine through its several distributaries. Only 16% of the flow goes through the IJssel into the IJsselmeer, and the remainder goes into the North Sea.
Most of this flow is through the Vaal, and then through the Maas, exiting through the port of Rotterdam.
We also see how Amsterdam is linked to both the Rhine and the North Sea via the Amsterdam-Rhine Canal and the Amsterdam-North Sea Canal, or Noordzee-Kanaal.
This shows the Amsterdam-Rhine Canal, which joins the Vaal at Tiel and Kinderdijk at the confluence of the Noord and Lek rivers.
About half of the Netherlands is below sea level.
Much of the Netherlands consists of reclaimed land. This is the result of a long process of careful water management dating back to medieval times.
Along the coasts, land was reclaimed from the North Sea, and in the interior, lakes and marshes were drained.
All of this new land was turned into polders, usually surrounded by dikes.
As the water is pumped out of the polder, new land is formed,
and the water is carried off in the ditches and canals.
This is a polder. Note the many drainage canals.
Initially, manpower and horsepower were used to drain the land, but they were later replaced by windmills.
In the 20th century, steam pumps and later, electric and diesel pumps came into use.
If the Netherlands were to lose the protection of its dunes and dikes, the most densely populated part of the country would be inundated, largely by the sea, but also in part by the rivers.
The most highly developed part of the Netherlands is not more than about 3 feet, or 1 meter, above sea level.
And this covers more than half the total area of the country, including the 2 largest cities of Amsterdam and Rotterdam.
This low-lying area includes Amsterdam, The Hague and Rotterdam.
The population density in this region is so high that this region is almost one continuous urban area.
Kinderdijk.
The first stop after, or before, Amsterdam on most river cruises are the Windmills of Kinderdijk. This involves a short detour on the Lek River, one of the distributaries of the Rhine in the Netherlands.
Kinderdijk is a small village in the Netherlands, in the province of South Holland, about 15 kilometers or 9 miles east of Rotterdam.
Kinderdijk is situated in a polder in the Alblasservaart, at the confluence of the Lek and Noord rivers.
Is the Kinderdijk polder at the confluence of the Lek and Noord rivers.
The Dutch have been using water to their benefit for over 1,000 years. The windmills of Kinderdijk were built to keep the low-lying lands of the Alblasservaart dry.
The windmills form an iconic Dutch scene, with many waterways, dikes, mills and sluices.
To drain the polder, a system of 19 windmills was built around 1740. This group of windmills is the largest concentration of old windmills in the Netherlands.
The windmills of Kinderdijk are one of the best-known Dutch tourist sites.
The windmills of Kinderdijk have been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1997.
The name Kinderdijk is Dutch for Children's Dike. The St. Elizabeth flood of 1421 swept away the poorly maintained dikes protecting the polders, causing thousands of people to drown.
The neighboring region called the Harotag-Holland Sevard flooded. But the Alblasservaard polder stayed unflooded.
It is said that when the terrible storm had subsided, someone went to the dike between these two areas to see what could be saved. In the distance he saw a wooden cradle floating on the water.
As the cradle came nearer, some movement was detected. A cat was seen in the cradle trying to keep it in balance by jumping back and forth so that no water could get into it.
As the cradle eventually came close enough to the dike for a bystander to pick up the cradle, he saw that a baby was quietly sleeping inside it, nice and dry. The cat had kept the cradle balanced and afloat.
This folktale and legend has been published as The Cat and the Cradle in English. And perhaps this is how the name Kinderdijk, or Children's Dyke, was born.
A system of windmills and pumps has been draining the water from the Kinderdijk polder soil into the river for centuries. As these systems were improved, wind power was paired with steam, diesel, and electrically powered pumping stations consecutively.
Kinderdijk has 19 original windmills that are used to drain the polder. Overvaart's wooden mills
and Nedervaart's brick mills use wind power to move water from the polders to the basins. Spanning up to 30 meters, these ground sailors barely miss the ground as their sails turn.
The Lekkerland polder windmills. Of the 3 original Lekkerland windmills, 2 remain. The high mill uses a screw instead of a water wheel to mill water up 2.5 meters, discharging directly into the river.
The wooden windmills of the Overvaart, dating from 1740, use a scoop wheel to pump water from the lower basin to the upper basin. Inside is enough space for a miller and his entire family.
Inside the Block Veerpolder Museum windmill is a personal experience of the miller's trade in real life.
The stone windmills of Nedervaart raise water to the upper basin in the Nedervaart Museum. Mill exhibits show how Miller Hoek used to live here with his wife and 13 children.
In 1868, the steam engine came to give the windmills a hand. The Visboom pumping station is one of 2 steam-powered pumping stations that were built in 1924. It was refitted with electric pumps.
There are now 3 pumping stations in the Kinderdijk. The Visboom pumping station has been turned into a visitor center and museum.
In 1924, the steam pumps were replaced by a diesel-powered pumping station, with even greater power and capacity. Still, the windmills remain vitally important.
Because in World War II, the German occupiers claimed all diesel reserves, forcing the Dutch to drain their polders by windmills once more. Even today, the mills have to be kept in working order in the event of a power outage or calamities that put the pumping stations out of action.
The windmills were closed after 1945 and the function of the windmills has been taken over by the pumping station, which is one of the largest in the world. However, in case of emergency, all of the 19 windmills still can be used.
The GN Cox pumping station uses 3 giant Archimedean screws powered by electric motors to discharge water at volumes greater than the capacity of 24 windmills combined.
From steam to electricity and diesel, and currently by a computer-operated system of pumping stations. The Kinderdijk mills keep draining the rising water from the polder. At low river levels, the sluices open up, and the pumps expel the water into the river.
This is the J.U. Smit pumping station. This diesel pumping station replaced the Van Hoften pumping station in 1972.
These days, the old technology is on display in the Visboom Visitor Center.
Because in 1995, these pumps were replaced by the even more powerful Overvaart pumping plant, which uses impressive Archimedean screws.
The screws of this pumping station are now computer-guided, using careful measurements of water levels and wind and weather forecasts.
This is the GN Koch pumping station, replacing the old Visboom station. This electric pump uses 3 giant Archimedean screws to discharge water at volumes greater than the capacity of 24 windmills combined.
The Visboom Canal Visitors Center has exhibits on the history and operation of the windmills and pumping stations at Kinderdijk. In addition, there are 2 museum windmills.
Guides explain how the windmills work and are maintained in the Molenwerkplaats, windmill workshop, of the Visboom Canal Visitors Center.
This is a steam engine exhibit in the Visboom Canal Visitors Center.
This is an electric motor exhibit in the Visboom Canal Visitors Center.
This is the Windmill Museum at Nedervaart.
This is a living area inside a windmill.
This is another example of a living area inside a windmill.
This is a diagram to show the working of the scoop wheel of a large octagonal drainage mill or polder mill, of the South Holland type, with an internal scoop wheel.
This is a hollow post mill, showing the drive from wind shaft to scoop wheel.
This shows the process of lifting the water from the polder in 3 stages.
The water screw is an Archimedean screw which is partly enclosed in a casing, and is adapted to raise water. It was used in drainage mills only from 1634 onwards.
If such a screw is made long enough, it is possible to pump up water with it from a depth of 13 to 17 feet. This means a considerable simplification as compared with a series of 3 mills one behind the other.
For deep polders and reclamation projects therefore, Archimedean screws would often be used.
The Archimedes screw consists of a screw, a helical surface surrounding a central cylindrical shaft, inside a hollow pipe. The screw is usually turned by a windmill, manual labor, cattle, or in modern times by a motor.
As the shaft turns, the bottom end scoops up a volume of water. This water is then pushed up the tube by the rotating helicoid until it pours out from the top of the tube.
The contact surface between the screw and the pipe does not need to be perfectly watertight, as long as the amount of water being scooped with each turn is large compared to the amount of water leaking out of each section of the screw per turn.
If water from one section leaks into the next lower one, it will be transferred upwards by the next segment of the screw.
Here is another animation of the operation of the Archimedes screw.
These are modern Archimedes screws at diesel-powered pumping station at Kinderdijk.
These modern Archimedes screws have replaced some of the windmills used to drain the polders at Kinderdijk in the Netherlands.
This is the adjacent village of Kinderdijk.
This is a sign marking the adjacent village of Kinderdijk.
This is the Grand Café des Clock in Kinderdijk.
This is the Grand Café Buena Vista in Kinderdijk.
Recommended videos, Kinderdijk.
Recommended video, pumping station at Kinderdijk in action. 54 seconds.
Recommended video, Kinderdijk Windmills, History in Motion, 1 minute, 28 seconds.
Recommended video, The Mills of Kinderdijk 13 minutes, 12 seconds.
Recommended video, Netherlands, Polders and Windmills, 3 minute, 38 seconds.
Recommended video, Netherlands, Polders and Windmills, 3 minute, 38 seconds.
Thanks for watching. Please watch some more of my great videos.